Hi, you guys. It is Friday night here, day 3 of my Guatemala trip, and wow. So we woke up early, had breakfast. Sorry, my hair's a big mess. And we went to about 30 minutes away from here to a place called El Dorado. So to kind of give you an idea of like where we are, we're in this right now we're in this big city, in this huge house that is provided by Manna Worldwide, which is a huge organization that sends missionaries all across the world and provides food and builds orphanages and churches and feeding centers and all those things, obviously by donation from multiple churches and people all around the world. So today we went to El Dorado, which is about 30 minutes away from here. In Guatemala, there are tons of mountains. Absolutely the most beautiful, lush green looking jungles. Absolutely amazing. It's the most breathtaking beauty of land that I've ever seen. And so we're driving all the way up through these huge hills, up these mountains for about 30 minutes, and we veer off into this road and we drive down about another maybe 10-15 minutes into like a valley that is just covered by lush hills, and most of them are being farmed and others are too steep to not be able to do anything with. And you start driving down into these homes, and if a lot of you guys have been to Mexico, you know that a lot of those homes, they use like the steel sheeting or the plastic sheeting and things. So first we drive into this town where it's just old dirt road, and it has, cinder block little buildings where people have like little shops where they sell like soap and chips and sodas and candies and things like that. And then we just pull off to the side, and that's where we have this huge church. And so there's missionaries there that are provided by Manna to go down there and to help change this little tiny town around. So not really knowing for probably the majority of the day that what the conditions of what the people look like, because we didn't veer off outside of the church, but instantly, right when we pulled up in our van, the kids were running up to us. And El Dorado is a very old Mayan community, so they believe in long skirts or pants, not showing your legs, no tank tops. A lot of them still wear a lot of the traditional Mayan wear, where it's very colorful garments, long type skirts where it's just like a fabric wrapped around your waist with a banded fabric belt. And when we first got there, I had no idea what we were about to do, because our pastor and leader didn't really tell us, because he didn't want to scare us before we signed up. But he said basically we're going to hold a spa day for these children. And so a lot of them do not have shoes on. They're running around in dirt. Their feet are filthy. Their hair is a wreck. And so he said, one of the big things there is that they have really bad lice. So we're doing lice treatments, and we're gonna let the lice soak on their head, and we're also gonna wash them and scrub their feet. And we're gonna wash their hair, comb it, style it, paint their nails if they want it done. And so we spent hours doing that, and the kids just kept coming and coming and coming. And it was just really, really rewarding. One of the things that our pastor had said is that just us being there and loving on the kids means so much to them, because they don't get that like love or that physical touch from their family. And so, you know, just making sure I was in charge of hair washing. So just every kid, every time I washed their hair, I would just tell them, you know, muy bonita, or, you know, muy bonito, like, so they know that they're looking so handsome or so beautiful now, and just trying to make sure that I touch them and just be nice to them and give them a big smile. But when I first got there, so let me rewind. When we first got there and they were telling us everything, so in order to be part of this feeding center, the families need to enroll their children, which means that they need to have some kind of communication with the church. So that means, like, the parent needs to go and, you know, basically say, like, you can feed my kid, you're allowing us to go and to, you know, teach the child about Jesus and things like that. And some of the parents didn't. So when they first started doing this, there were about 50 kids. And when they fed these kids that had enrolled, there was these other kids just staring in the windows looking at them, and that just broke my heart, to know that we're just feeding some kids, but not all the kids, just because the parents' pride is getting in the way. And on the way there too, they had told us that you know, one of the biggest crops out here is corn. So they make everything from corn, like their drinks, their all their foods. And so corn doesn't have a lot of nutritional value, so a lot of these kids are very nutrient deficient, and so they're malnourished. So they get sick easily and whatnot. And so I guess my thought, not knowing what to expect before I got there, was, you know, these kids are going to be like, you know, like you see on these Save the Children type commercials, where they're just going to be just frail as can be and skinny and just bones with a big belly. And that wasn't the case at all. They did look pretty healthy. So once I did see them, that did ease my heart a lot. And I was super emotional when I got there and had heard all that stuff, but just seeing like how the kids were actually really happy, because they honestly, they don't know any different. They're running around playing with all their other friends. They have playgrounds and fun things that the church has provided. We did a coloring activity and singing with them, and they just had such a blast. Before we went to El Dorado, we stopped at the grocery store and filled up 2 laundry baskets full of like needs that we can bring to 2 different families. So, you know, soap and rice and beans and oil and salt and masa and stuff like that, so they can cook and be able to feed their families. And so this pastor that's running this church in El Dorado obviously works with these families, and so he knows which ones really need it. So we made 2 stops right before we left there, and for the first one, so we started walking away from the church and up a hill, down a little dirt single trail road, and we're starting to walk into these different tin can, like shack homemade type houses. And we step into this lady's front area, because these houses are all stacked on top of each other. We could barely fit our group of, I think there was like 15 of us at the time that went over there. But she was there, and she had 3 children, one being like 1.5-year-old son, and I had actually met one of the little girls, and her name was Blanca, And she's just super sweet as can be. And it was just nice to be able to give this family things and to see like the appreciation that they had. And it just so happened that we went down right below her, which happened to be her sister. And so her sister has a new baby that's 2 months old, and she has 4 children, and her house and area was way smaller than her sister's house. And she just looked so sad and just in a blank awe. Like, I can't even explain it. I think my whole thought process and my processing of this whole entire day hasn't really gone through and processed through my brain everything yet. But my biggest thing was that I just feel for these children, that for the parents that don't enroll these kids into this feeding program, because it's like they're missing out on so much, not just food, but community, the learning, like accepting Jesus in their life, you know, and just being taught just like a whole amazing, awesome, like sense that there is hope out there. And that's what my biggest prayers are. But to think that was only just one little community, and finding out that 80% of the world is in poverty like that live shack on shack on shack for mere dollars of earnings a day. I can't even fathom like living on $5 a day. So my heart is already thinking, and my mind is thinking and gearing towards like what I want to do, what's my next step, what are my plans for the future, because I don't feel like this is like the end of my giving, or the end of me like being here or doing something more. I've always known that I am here to give back, and that's why God has me here, is to give hope to people. I just don't really know in the whole sense of the extent of that, so that's something that I need to pray on and learn about more to find out, give me more clarity on exactly what that is. But the people here are amazing. It's beautiful. Just need to, I guess, process more of it. But I just wanted to share with you. I'm trying to do a video every day so I can kind of to remember. But it was a very interesting first day, a real first day out on the ground. Tomorrow, Saturday, so we're actually going to stay local, and we're actually going to be at our orphanage, which is right here on the slope down here, and we take care of 20 kids, all the way from babies to 17 years old. So we're actually going to take them out to a sports park tomorrow, and then we're going to head over to Antigua in the afternoon. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening. I can't wait to be able to share more with you guys, and just to see how much more growth is going to happen, and as my thought process and everything just processes all of this. So hope you guys have a good one, and really think about like, what could you do to give back to somebody else? I know there's a lot more things that I can do. That's why I say that I can do so much more, and so I can definitely see that there's going to be a big change for me in my life coming my way. So hope you guys have a good one. Talk to you soon.